Uh, I would like to know more about technology and education.
right?
Why is using technology is better for education than without technology? And why
Right.
is using technology for language education is better than without technology? And maybe the next question is, will technology replace teachers?
Okay, that
Okay.
are a lot of questions and a lot of things to talk
Yeah.
about actually.
Okay.
And
Okay. Yeah.
maybe we start with the first question. The question is why is using technology may improve the efficiency of learning.
Yes.
And this is actually a wide question as well, per se. And thinking of technology as an enhancement for teaching and learning is something that cannot just be reduced to technology. First of all, we have tools to teach,
Yes.
and that's something we are using since ages. We have a blackboard, we have pencils, we
Mm,
have
mm,
paper, we have
mm.
books, and
Yes.
now it starts between paper and books. The books contain some information. This is media, and this media can enhance like books or images or movies or videos and everything can enhance the visualization of a specific concept that you want to learn. And
Mm,
actually, nowadays, such media usually are used in a digital way, which is actually a technological background, which means actually this media we are using since ages, like images or video. Maybe we showed a movie earlier over the a big cam. And this is the enhancement is not something that happens right now when we have digital information. It happens already before. But now by using digital information or computers or technology, there is like a sort of a variety of tools which can be used for
mm,
specific meanings of learning, which means actually the question is not good. It's why, because the why is, you kind of make it in general, but how you can use the
mm,
technological tools for
mm,
improving specific skill acquisitions.
mm,
And I was talking about media like, you use a book, you read, and you get
mm,
information from the book, and you can
mm,
enhance your concept of the thing you want to learn. Or you
mm,
have a teacher using an image or a video, which is technologically like a digital video, which means needs technology. And that information transmission, which usually is like when you have a lecture, it's verbal,
mm,
like you talk
mm,
and the other listen,
mm,
is visual as well. So you have different channels to
mm,
get this information, so it can enhance your capacity for capturing concepts, for
mm,
understanding concepts, and so forth and so on. But actually, this is one way to use
mm,
technology is by trying to enrich the way you transmit information from the teacher to the learner
mm,
by
mm,
support of any tools. And this is, of course, also an advancement because just listening and seeing, there's a lot of research
mm, mm,
based on that. If the
mm,
transmission of information goes over different channels and it's done in a
mm,
good way,
mm,
that retention is better and
mm,
conceptual understanding might be better. That is the
mm,
first part. That's why
mm,
the
mm,
technology may enhance like
mm,
factual knowledge acquisition
mm, mm,
through information transmission. But
mm,
actually, the big added value of technology is not only that, because this is something given we have using
mm,
since a lot of time. By using of digital technology and especially internet-based technology, where you have a connection to the world, to the internet, there you have a lot of different others ways of learning, which may be much more difficult without this technology, especially if
mm,
you are looking for information which is related to the concept, which means the teacher talks about the topic or uses a term you don't understand. So
mm,
what did you have to do? Earlier, you went to the
mm,
library or you took a
mm,
dictionary, but maybe
mm,
the dictionary wasn't in your not in your home.
mm,
So you had to go to the library, take the
mm,
book, search. Oh, he used whatever paraphrases, and you
mm,
had to understand what does it mean.
mm,
Nowadays, you have this question. The teacher talks about this word. You write it
mm,
down on your paper, and then you go home or you use your smartphone, and then you get the information you need. So that's an added
mm,
value, and
mm,
especially it activates the learning process of the learner, which means I
mm,
have the responsibility. I can take the responsibility, and using this tool, which is a technological tool, to get faster, more precise, more reliable. If you're literate, if you know how to use
mm,
it, more reliable. That's an added value, and of course, you learn better.
mm,
And there's a lot of way. That's one. It's about how to retrieve information, to find information in an easy way, and
mm,
technology can be a big boost on that. On the other hand, it's not only about that. Imagine you learn not only alone, actually. Usually, if you learn something, you have maybe a teacher present. If you want to learn how to fix a bike, you have a
mm,
teacher who
mm,
teaches you, and then you look at that. But
mm,
maybe sometimes the teacher is not there because, I
mm,
don't know, the teacher is at home like you, or is at the beach like you are now, or the teacher is
mm.
somewhere else. So
Yeah,
then how you do? Then you can connect with the teacher. You take the
yeah.
phone and say, "Hey, Professor Safnin, I have a problem with my bike." And there you
Yeah.
are laying on the beach or whatever, on the
Mm,
sand or swimming. Oh,
mm,
listen, here I can help you. And this is
mm, mm,
actually a connection, a
mm,
bridging of distances between
mm,
the learner and someone who has some specific skills already. You know how to
mm,
learn to to fix a bike. I don't know. I call you. This is the technology, and
mm,
actually, this technology can be done by vocal, but also if you're not at the beach, but you are in your whatever, in your garage, and
mm, mm,
working on your bicycle, you
mm,
can even show me. You know, you can
mm,
connect and show me.
mm,
And this
mm,
is something which is a big added value. You bridge
mm.
the distance
The
between
distance, yeah. The time,
a
yeah.
learner
Mm,
and the teacher, and so you can just get this concept of he can
mm,
show you what he can show you where to turn, where to do, and you can show him the problem precisely. And this is an added value actually.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
you don't need to travel, and
mm,
this is
mm,
this distances you bridge is not only like spatial. I am at
mm,
school or in my office, you're in your
mm,
garage. It can also be a temporal distance. That means I
mm,
am
mm,
in Switzerland, it's morning,
mm,
you are there in Indonesia, it's I think
mm,
4 or 5 p.m. So that we could not talk, but you
mm,
are late, the time is bridged.
mm,
On the other hand, not only synchronous, the bridging is possible. I can record something like showing how to fix the bike, and you watch it later,
mm,
which
mm,
means like what we're doing now,
mm,
you are recording something, and I
mm.
don't need to be there when you have the courses. So the
Yes,
time is
yes.
bridged. And this technology allows that. If you
Mm,
wouldn't have the technology, I would
mm,
need to come to your lessons to Bengkulu,
mm,
whenever it is, and be there and talk about that. That
mm,
means the time is bridged. And that as a third part of the bridging, which is possible using technology in a
mm,
communicative way, if I want to text, to talk to someone which I don't know, I
mm,
mean, I have questions about fixing a bike, and I
mm,
know I did read on the internet that there's an expert on how to
mm,
fix this specific bike I have, which you don't know. I could text him. That means actually
mm,
there's a social distance that can be reduced. Or I want to text to the president of Switzerland. I
mm,
cannot just call him because he won't take the phone, but maybe he has an email or maybe he has a Twitter account. Then I
mm,
tweet him.
mm,
So that means it can also bridge social distances.
mm,
Um,
mm,
um, and this can be used as well for learning. So I
mm,
can connect to people and having like a sort of an opportunity to interact with them. And
mm,
I will come later on that related because this is quite relevant for language learning. But I will just
mm,
that was in general. I will come back on
mm,
that point
mm,
later.
mm, mm.
So this is something which is also very relevant, bridging this social distance.
Social
So this
distance. Mm,
bridging factor of media and of technology is something which can be very well incorporate into a learning process. Of course, it can be incorporated in a like learning process at school, like you at university with your students. But it can also be used for informal learning. That means what
mm,
you learn every day. And I
mm,
think, fixing a bike is something that I need to learn because I have a bike which is broken, and I
mm,
don't learn that at school usually. So it can
mm,
be used in formal and
mm,
non-formal, and that's also very important because the concept of learning, of enhancing skills, it's not only in the lessons at
mm,
school, but
mm,
nowadays you should be
mm,
empowered to learn whenever you need it,
mm.
wherever you need it, your whole day and your whole life long.
For
That
more
means actually,
practical purposes. Mm,
but also theoretical. I was making a
mm,
very practical example that if
mm,
I need to know if I want to publish a paper about conceptual changing, then of
mm,
course I may text to you because you're an expert in conceptual understanding. And that's the
mm,
same. It can be either practical, but also very theoretical and conceptual.
mm,
And
mm,
actually, I understand learning, and especially the learning which is useful for your daily work, for your
mm,
life.
mm,
It's
mm,
something which has to be, it's a deep learning phase. Of course, I can learn about facts, like the term I was mentioning before, paraphrasing. It's a
mm,
term I learn, and I need this term to understand the broader concept. But
mm,
actually, such learning activities are very important for conceptual learning, which is a thing which is has a bigger value because I can transfer what I learned to other topics. This transfer happens in such way of learning. So that is actually the communication part, the bridging part of technology and media. There's another part is the collaborative part, collaboration. That means working together. So like the way we had a project together, you and me, and we had to submit a
Proposal.
proposal for funding. And how did we do? You were in Indonesia, I was in Switzerland. How could we communicate without that? We could, we had a common like sort of a text, and both of us could work synchronously or asynchronously on the same thing. So this way of collaboration was something fruitful, because at the end we had a document we could both agree with, and it was without talking and coming there and working on the same desk together. So this also was a major element of enhancement of opportunities for learning using technology. So this is in general. So I think I mentioned a couple of things which are really can be fruitful. And so it's not why, but how.
How?
So
Yeah.
why, of course, it's also very good to learn if you and me sit together on a chair and discuss about this topic. So we can go forth and back, and no technology, just a glass of water and maybe a snack, just you and me, and learn. That's also very good. Especially, it's also good to sit at the same time in the same place and being able to interact. This is very good, but there can be some enhancements. And of course, not only factual knowledge can be learned. There can also be procedural knowledge, conceptual knowledge, and many skills can be learned using this technological help. And technology is a help to improve the process of acquiring some skills or competencies, and that's the thing. I think I come to your second or third question. You are asking how this technology can enhance language acquisition or language understanding. And now maybe you have to make a differences between a first language acquisition, which is you are sitting in Indonesia and you want to learn Bahasa, or second language acquisition, where I'm sitting here in Switzerland and I want to travel to Indonesia, live there, whatever, holiday, and I need to learn this language. On the first case, in first place, if you have learned the first language, if you live in Indonesia and want to learn Bahasa, I go outside the street or I go out and I want to buy some banana. And if I cannot speak, I cannot buy. But if I can talk to them and connect, they will tell me and help me to understand the term of banana. Tell me, what is the term of banana in Bahasa?
Pisang.
Pisang. So I learned something. Now that's the point, actually. I am here in Switzerland and I want to learn how to buy banana, and you are there and communicate with me and bridging the distance, the temporal, the spatial, and also the social distance. I know that now that pisang is something I acquire. And of course, I could also read it in a book and listen it. But also there, if I read it in the book, I have media. If I listen it, I need technology which reads it for me. But now I have an expert, and I access to him, and we communicate. And I know now that Bishan is something which I use if I want to buy banana in the market. So this is one actually very important part. And it's not only about this factual knowledge, because the term banana is a fact. Banana is Bishan, it's fine, we know it. When it comes to learning about culture and understanding, and language and culture are two things which are quite close together, especially if it's a foreign culture for me and I'm not Indonesian. I've been there, I visited you a couple of years ago, but still I'm not so familiar. And by having this opportunity of just having an immersion using technology, I actually, if you take away, I see the beach where you are in Indonesia. We don't have such a beach, which means I have an idea. Of course, I know it's fake, but I use it as a metaphor now. By seeing how you live, what you're doing, and really connecting to you in this way, I get a cultural understanding, which is also crucial for acquisition of a foreign language. All these things are different if it's about the first language acquisition, because there I would live at your beach there and I would be able to live what it is, but that's not possible, or it's more difficult for me. Of course, I can read in books about it, but it's not the same immersion. And by enhancing this potential of immersion using technology, enhancing this potential of communication, enhancing this potential of connection, this is a big added value of technology in order to acquire,
Acquire language.
especially second language.
Mm,
Maybe also first language, I don't know, but
mm,
there it's a bit more easy. There it's for the second language.
mm, mm,
So that's one point. On the other hand, of course, I need to drill to learn also about terms like banana and books and whatever, have factual knowledge acquisition. And there's also a big help by using this
mm, mm, mm,
technology. Of course, there are thousands of apps where
mm,
I can drill specific vocabulary like banana, whatever, paraphrasing, and they deliver. And it's like sort of a mechanism that, like what we did earlier with like cards, where we wrote the term
mm,
and on the other side the translation. And this is much more effective because all the side the meta work, like means if I don't know the word, I have to put my little
mm,
sheet with the word on the side, and then I have to bring them along. And there's a technology which help us just to know which word we learned, which one we didn't learn. And there is also the opportunity that this the technology can speak, like saying
mm,
if I want to speak how I pronounce banana, what is whatever behind it. And there's a lot of things. So
mm,
connecting, creating groups with natives so you can interchanging, and
mm,
then supporting like also factual understanding for learning. And these are just two examples. There are many others, but I think these are two I just come pop up in my mind. I didn't prepare for
mm,
that
mm,
conversation, but there are many others. If I
mm,
think a
mm,
bit further, they could be.
mm.
Now I don't forget your third or your fourth question. Maybe you help me out with that.
Okay. Technology is often complicated and
Yeah,
hard for senior teachers.
yeah.
So, how to solve this problem? Is there any simple technology?
You know, uh, if I need to use like a machine when I
Mm,
want to make some soften or
mm,
some work on metal,
mm,
it's dangerous. It
mm,
is complicated because you have it's heated, and
mm,
I cannot just use this from the beginning. Like there is a process of
mm,
like sort of procedural learning. You need to know how this tool works. If you have a book and you don't know how to open, if you open in the
mm,
wrong way, if you don't know how to read, then there is
mm,
no use of it. That's for sure. And the same
mm,
thing is
mm,
with the computer. Complicated.
mm,
Actually, the thing is actually some problems of some like aged learners like me. It's
mm,
like we have some experience with traditional media and tools, and we have less experience with modern tools, and especially the modern tools, they develop very fast.
mm,
And actually, we tried out when these tools came up, and at
mm,
that time in the 90s and in the 2000 years, the technology was very complicated compared to today.
mm,
Today, the difficulty is not really in the use, but
mm,
in the fear we have inside of the use.
mm,
That
mm,
is
mm,
something, one of the major
mm,
issues to overcome. I am afraid to make mistakes, and in my
mm,
culture,
mm,
making mistakes is something which,
mm,
especially if I'm a teacher, is
mm,
something that really sort of reduces my authority. That's my feeling.
mm,
And
mm,
that's one major thing, just
mm,
stepping out of the comfort zone and thinking, listen, I am a human and I learn also there. So not being afraid of making mistakes is something which
mm,
really has to be learned. And I know I have a lot of colleagues here as well, like me, my age, and they say, oh, listen, no, there are so many tools and I don't know how it works, or I am not familiar with it. And the thing is actually practicing, like if we have a look how a kid learns to walk, how many times he falls on his knees, how many times he stands up again, until in a very short period of time from crawling he can walk on his two legs. But there's so many failures in between the start and the end of that process. And we as a senior, we as a crowd, we think, oh, no, I need to know it, but I don't dare to try. So this is
mm,
something to overcome.
Okay. Yeah.
And what I can tell you, technology becomes easier and easier. And as
Yeah.
it is by walking, the more you use it, and of
Ah,
course, you don't have to use it with students at the beginning. You can try yourself. Or the
yeah.
best thing,
Yeah.
you have a nephew, you have a son,
Ah,
and we
yeah.
are senior, we have kids. Why don't we talk to them? Why don't we say, listen,
Yeah.
hey,
Mm,
how can I turn on this device? I don't know. Just tell me. And then
mm,
the next day, of course, I am
mm,
old, I forget. You go again. Hey, son, come to me. How can I turn on? Try to explain me. Write it down for me. There are a lot of techniques. And I actually, as a senior, like older teachers, we should try to really ask younger people about them. And then also when it comes to teaching, of course, there's things go wrong. The more technology you have, the more potential of going wrong happens. That's normal. If
mm,
you have a lesson which is structured, scaffolded in a complicated way, it is possible that something doesn't work out. And of course, then
mm,
if you feel insecure, then you feel like, oh no, I'm a bad teacher. And
mm,
this is something also to overcome. And there are ways to structure that the way that you have an alternative. So you have
mm,
at the beginning, if you are insecure, try to find alternatives. Maybe you have a bit more
mm,
work. You prepare at the beginning two things.
mm,
But once you know that the thing works quite well, the first, the second, the third time, okay, now I know, now I can do it. So at the beginning, it takes more work and more effort. And that is something difficult for all of us, for the
mm,
senior, also for the juniors. And
mm,
I think also that is a learning process. And also for this learning procedural and security learning process, you have to use technology because this one you have to use before. So there's a lot of strategies and techniques and a lot of effort that has to be taken by seniors. And of course, they can also go to school. And why not
mm,
go to school first to their sons or daughters? Or even why don't they try to use it just a little bit and then ask some student which is familiar with it to support him, give him the role. Now you are my assistant. You look that you are responsible that my technology I want to use that works. So the student takes responsibility and then maybe it works or not. That can also happen. It doesn't work, but so you have someone you interchange and then first you
mm,
practice
mm,
with the student. And of course, this costs time, of course. It costs an additional time, and the time is very
mm,
precious for us because we have many things to do. But the effort is worth it for two different reasons. First reason, as I tried to explain before, there is an added value in using technology.
mm,
And second reason, being getting older makes us become a bit more rigid,
mm,
all of us. So which means by trying out new things, trying out adapting new things,
mm,
rejecting sometimes things,
mm.
keeps us a bit more flexible, and that keeps us a bit younger, and that's what we want to be, or at least me.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was a little bit an overview of it. Of course, there are
yeah, yeah.
specific techniques. If, like, I am a lecturer and I want to use a collaborative software, then of course there are
Mm,
also some techniques about how to use that, how to implement it. There are people who wrote about that. There's a lot of resources on the internet about how to use collaborative technologies for
mm,
learning,
mm, mm,
how to use video conferencing for learning, how to use for learning, there's a lot of things. So first of all, if I feel insecure, I go and use technology to teach myself, to learn from
mm,
YouTube, from articles, from scientific papers.
mm,
There is a lot of people trying to share their knowledge
mm, mm. Yes.
about that. So actually, just don't think that I can use technology tomorrow, so I have to start at night. No, it's a process that takes longer.
Mm, mm,
And the other thing, which may be a bit scaring to many people,
mm,
of course, technology is evolving very fast.
mm,
But the thing is that calms me a bit down because I know as well that it's evolving fast. The tools are evolving fast, but the concepts,
mm,
they evolve much slower. So
mm,
if you understand once really the concepts behind of a text processing tool or of a video cutting machine or of a collaboration tool, if you understand the concept,
mm.
this concept doesn't evolve so
Doesn't work.
fast.
Yeah, yeah.
The tools is a different one. Maybe you can
Mm,
do this a bit better, this a bit better, is a bit
mm.
more easy to use, but the concept evolves
It's the same.
slowly. So,
Mm,
and actually, as a senior lecturer or professor, you are used to think in a conceptual way. So
mm,
try to understand also the central concepts about how to use technology,
mm,
and then be a bit flexible on the use of the tools, and then times go slowly and you have time to understand, to adapt, just step by step. Don't want, I think you should not want everything at the same time.
mm,
I think
mm,
immediately. So I think if you think, yeah, I want to use the top-notch virtual reality for teaching, and I don't know how to use a computer, then I would say, just wait a bit, just step by
mm.
step.
Step by step. Yes. Another question is: will technology replace teachers?
Oh yeah, that was a
Mm,
well. This is a question which pops up since the 1920
mm,
of the 20th, the 1920. I mean, 100 years ago. That was the first time this question popped up: will technology replace teacher? And this was actually, we were talking about radio
mm,
transmission.
mm,
Actually, the teacher was scared. Oh no, you can put a radio in the classroom, and then of
mm,
course someone over there can talk about like I do, and
mm,
then
mm,
they don't need me anymore.
mm,
It came the second time with television. When television came up,
mm,
well, now not only the voice, also you can see the teacher, and he can show something how it works. So
mm,
teacher are replaced. What happened? Did we need less teachers since then? Well, we all know the answer is
mm,
no.
mm,
But the
mm,
role of the teacher may change,
mm,
and the role is something very important. Actually, by giving the learners some tools to enhance their
mm.
learning capacities, you still have to be there and have a look at what's going on, because
Yes.
maybe the students have to learn how to use it tool, maybe get lost, has a lot
Mm,
of questions, and you
mm,
have to tutor it to guide the learner through the
mm,
way of achieving the goal he wants to achieve. So the role of teacher as the instance of having the knowledge and transmitting into the student, this role will be not so important
mm,
anymore. Not so. Because this information can be taken from the best of the world.
mm, mm,
I mean, if you can speak English, you have access to MIT, you have access to Harvard, you have access to Cambridge. All these very big brains, they tell you what a conceptual understanding is. Of course, if you don't understand English, first you have to learn English.
mm,
And this can also be done by helping of the machine, but of course also by a teacher.
mm,
So that's the point. Transmission of information, this importance will go back. And many teachers who think the I know and I pass my knowledge I pass the information I have to the students. This role, if they're getting insecure by that, then I can say yes, this importance will decrease of this role, because actually, if I don't understand my teacher, I go online and find someone else who did the same thing, who tells me, so I have an alternative. And if this one is better, then they use this one, and that happens already. Actually, if I see my kids, my sons,
mm,
if a teacher doesn't explain something right, they go online. There's another alternative. So the transmission is something which will decrease. But of course, at school, it's not about just listening. They have to do exercises. They have to practice. And that's they're doing at school. And the teacher's there and watching,
mm,
observing them. And say, oh, look, maybe you choose this way. If you have a question, come to me, because the question can be personalized. And I know the student. I know how good he is. So I can adapt my feedback. And then the machine is not able to do that. There are some ways that machines are starting to learn by learning analytics and artificial intelligence, but we are far away from that. At the moment, the role of the teacher as someone who supports, who
mm,
motivates, who enhances, who guides, this is the four very important, or five or six very important parts. That means this part of the teacher is much requested at the moment. That's why the teacher won't disappear. The
mm,
teacher will
mm,
just have, actually, with his expertise and
mm,
his knowledge of the person he's
mm,
teaching, with this he will be able to enhance the learning of the students much better, because he doesn't need to spend time in just delivering.
mm,
He just can look at them in an individual way and foster their development in a much more efficient way. So actually, teachers matters. Teacher is very important, but
mm,
the
mm,
role of the teacher will
mm.
change a little bit, maybe.
Someone said that teachers without technology will be replaced by teachers who know technology.
You know, that may happen. The thing is, actually,
Mm.
I can tell you, if you are a teacher and cannot read and write, and there were many very good teachers which
Mm,
cannot read and write, like
mm,
teachers
mm,
which have capacities we have no idea of. And for 8 million years, the teacher had no books and
mm, mm, mm.
no knowledge about reading and writing. Do
Yeah.
you know today a teacher which is not able to read and write? Do you know one? There are fewer. I think
Mm,
most of
mm,
us are able to
mm,
use these
mm,
skills of reading and writing.
mm,
And I think that slowly but steadily, the use of books is something which every teacher has to know. This is a tool which we use. The use of pencil, and
mm,
one day the use of
mm,
technology will also be a
mm,
part of the
mm,
skills A teacher
mm,
has to know, else he won't be able to use all these additional values and to
mm,
use it in a good way. That's very
mm.
important. Not only just use them for
Yes, yes,
because you
yes,
have
yeah.
them, but you,
Mm,
that means, yeah, as we, every teacher knows to read and write, I think in, I would say in 50 years, every
mm.
teacher should be able to use other tools than
Other
just the
tools.
blackboard and
Yeah,
the book. So
yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
They
yeah,
won't be replaced, but
yeah.
there won't be any. That won't be the question anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, now we have been talking about teachers. Now talking about students or learners. What about their attitude? Can we control them? Because they
Hmm.
are far away from us. Yeah, sometimes you using during the lectures, they close the video, or sometimes they are attending our class while driving.
Well, that's one thing. Control is something that is relevant, and
Mm,
not only for students but also for teachers. Of
for
course, a
teachers,
teacher
yeah,
wants to control, and also students sometimes, if they don't you don't control them, of course they do something else because
yeah, yeah.
something else is more important. So
Mm,
the way controlling is actually even better possible using technologies than without using technology, depending on how you use the technology. But
mm,
does it make sense to control everything? That's what makes sense to be controlled and what does not make sense to control. Actually, I don't know whether you were a student as well, I guess, as I was, and then you had
mm, mm,
lectures.
mm,
And are you the
mm,
one student? I don't want your answer. You don't need to answer. Were you one of the students who was always attentive to what was told by the teacher? For me, I can say
mm,
big no. I was there, my body was there, but my mind was at the beach sometimes. So it means, you have a physical presence, but
mm,
is that what matters?
mm,
Actually, you need to have actually an involvement, a motivation. And of course, it's much easier to motivate
mm,
someone if you have it in presence. So you say, come on, students, come here and show me. And then he has to be involved. And in
mm,
the screen, with technology, it's much easier. I turn my
mm,
screen off, like that.
mm, mm,
And now I turn my screen off. Where is it here? And you don't see what I'm doing. So that's why I can
mm,
now I could sit on whatever, be on toilet,
mm,
whatever. So,
mm,
and that's more dangerous. So that means this way
mm,
of transmission, if you
mm,
want to control, if you want to make sure, you
mm,
have to use other mechanisms, other tools. And there are such tools, like if you use a content management system, you can control what did every student do, how long did he spend there, did he do
mm,
this task. So you can even control much more. But I
mm,
think from my point of view, control makes sense
mm,
when it comes to how to guide, how to
mm,
motivate, how to enhance, and how to really make the engage.
mm,
And
mm,
there, it's a bit more difficult to engage people by using technology than it
mm,
is when the people are there with you in the
mm,
same room and
mm.
you can really interact in direct
Interact,
way.
yeah,
We human,
yeah.
we just have not only just the visible and the
Mm,
auditive.
mm,
Of
mm,
course, we have, if you can bring him there, show him something, help him touching, this is something which is much better. So it's
mm,
more difficult. It's more difficult to engage using
mm,
technology,
mm,
but actually there are a lot of ways to control. But
mm,
from my point of view, sometimes it makes sense,
mm,
sometimes it doesn't make sense. And either way, we think that we were not so controlled, that we were controlled before when we were really sitting in a lecture. But to be honest, there is research telling that over, I think, 30 or 40%
mm.
are not thinking about what you are talking. So,
Mm,
and that since ages, not since we have
mm, mm,
technology. So
mm.
it's not really
Yeah,
a new
yeah,
problem we have. And
yeah.
it becomes a bit difficult because you don't have them there. So you have
Mm,
to create different ways of sort of controlling of. So you must ask them to do something, and then you have to give
mm,
feedback.
mm,
This is something that must happen.
mm, mm,
Interact with them,
mm,
asking them questions. If you
mm,
have like 20 students in a Zoom room, I do that sometimes. Someone, the
mm,
camera is off, and I ask a question to this person. I say, "Can I
mm,
listen,
mm, mm,
Frank?"
mm.
And
Yes.
Frank is one of the students, which is off with the microphone, off with the camera. What do you think about that?
Mm,
I
mm,
would like to have your opinion. And if
mm,
Frank is sleeping
mm,
or somewhere else, then
mm,
Frank is gone. And I say, Frank,
mm,
listen, that's not the way we
mm,
want to interact. So you
mm,
have the opportunity. Use it.
mm, mm.
And that's what I do sometimes,
Yeah.
And of
Also,
course, yeah, sorry,
since
sorry.
students have more access to internet,
Yes.
because we know that in the internet there are not all goods. They
Oh,
may have
yes.
access to how to make a bomb, for example.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's
That's
difficult to
actually,
control, right? Mm,
this is called information literacy. And of
mm,
course, if you have a library,
mm,
there is a first selection. As a librarian, you're a skilled
mm,
person which can say, this is a good book,
mm,
this is a
mm,
bad book. I take the
mm,
good one and I don't use the bad one.
mm,
And this is the difference between a library, which there is a selection of
mm, mm,
relevant information and it's there.
mm,
That's
mm,
why a library is very important, it's very,
mm,
very valuable. And
mm,
the internet, where there is the good book and the bad book popping
mm,
up on your browser next to each other, and
mm,
being able
mm,
to choose the relevant, the
mm,
reliable, the
mm,
up-to-date information out of
mm,
a lot of information. This is
mm,
actually a skill which
mm,
is very important, a
mm,
literacy which is very important. So if we come to language learning, which is the basic literacy or learning to write and to read, so
mm,
this is another literacy which nowadays becomes very important. Information literacy,
mm,
media literacy,
mm,
like information retrieval, information
mm,
selection. So this is something which has to be learned, and this is a
mm,
very important topic for our students, and of course also for
mm,
us. And being aware, and that's also, by the way, a role of the teacher. It's not just
mm,
about teaching where you can find good information. Also, some ethical teaching. You can
mm,
find it, but why you're not supposed to use it? Why should you use it? You
mm,
can go, if you walk in the street and you see a jewelry in behind the window, you can
mm,
also take a hammer, break the window, and take the
mm,
things
mm,
out. But you don't do it because it's something you don't do. And
mm,
you can find information how to build a bomb, but you don't do it. It's the
mm,
same as you
mm,
don't break in because it belongs to them.
mm,
And the
mm,
bombs can harm other people. Why should you do it?
mm, mm,
This is
mm.
part of education. This is very
Okay.
important.
Yeah,
That's
we
my
have to
opinion.
educate. Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course, yeah, of
yeah.
course,
Of course,
of course.
we cannot avoid totally. Yeah, but we have to
No,
educate. Yeah.
actually, we
Okay.
cannot avoid,
Yeah.
but we also educate them not to break into a jewelry. Our
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
say no, that's not no way because it belongs to
Mm.
somebody else. Don't steal it. It's not good. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're very welcome.
It's
Just
very
where?
interesting. Yeah, and I know more about this. Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully we can discuss another topics in the future about
We
technology and education.
I hope we can discuss. Where will you use this information for? Where will you show that? Is it for
So
your
to the
lectures?
students, to the
Yes.
undergraduate students, not
Yes.
only in University of Bengkulu, also for other universities students. Yeah,
Welcome to them. So
that
I
will
think
be very
you can
important, very useful for
you
them. Yeah.
yeah, you can show my affiliation, and if there's some
Okay.
further question, let
Yeah.
them come back to me. So you're very
Okay.
welcome
Thank
for.
you very much. Yeah, Professor
Talk to you soon.
Notary. Yeah, I'll see you soon. Talk to you.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Good
Have a nice
afternoon. Still
day.
afternoon.
Good
Have a nice
afternoon.
day.
Yeah. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.